Leading when nobody gets it. A young leader that I meet with was recently telling me about a core principle in her organization. We can't start making substantive change in our world, she said, unless we start with neurological work. Now, that's kind of a puzzler, but I understood what she was talking about. Leaders can't lead into empathy until we've processed our brain-wired judgments or our brain-wired defense responses. We can't lead out of pain until we've processed our own pain. We can't do what Plato tells us, see our own illusions, until we've quieted the internal noisiness of our habit thoughts and our habit emotional responses. To be effective leading out of the cave, to be effective leading times of deconstruction and reconstruction, brain work, heart work, neurological work. So I got what she was saying. Problem was, her leadership team wasn't always getting it. Because that was the roadmap she was working off of. She was organizing things that would heal the interior world, those kinds of things, storytelling things, or exercises in noticing our reactivity, or sitting with our discomfort, or cultivating interior calm, those kinds of things. But her leadership team had a slightly different roadmap. They loved her, very grateful to have her, but that direction, not so sure. Their focus was more, we have got a good thing going here. We need to scale this up. We have got some momentum here. We have got to capitalize on it. We need to brand ourselves. We need to get the word out. We need to grow. Internal work is good, they were saying, but what we need to move our organization forward is something else. Now, the thing is, that went on for 3 years. 3 years of feeling unsupported. 3 years of quiet resistance. 3 years questioning herself. It was costly. It was isolating, feeling alone, feeling judged, feeling doubted. And then at a large gathering, the community engaged one of the activities that she had designed, and in the room there was kind of a breakthrough for a lot of people, after which the team got it. Oh, now we see, oh, this does lay the groundwork that we need. Oh, this is the approach to spiritual community that's appropriate for this moment. Ah, now we see. Which was validating and it was affirming. But remember, 3 years. 3 years leading quietly, faithfully, courageously, without their support. It had been hard, and that is part of the deal when we lead reimagining spiritual communities. When we leave one paradigm behind and the new one isn't really clear yet, it's different work than people are familiar with. And because it is, most of the time, most of the people don't get us. So today, let's talk about that. The last several episodes, what Plato's allegory of the cave means, especially when we are reimagining spiritual community, especially when we are stepping back from what we once knew to be true that turned out to be shadow, what we once knew to be true that was not true enough. In today's episode and the next one, some encouragement for those of us who are leading in this context, because it is hard. When what you are saying is not what everybody knows to be true, it is hard. And it takes forever, and that is hard. Not everybody in the community is going to see the new things, and especially not at the same rate. Stepping back from illusion truths, deconstructing old paradigms of spiritual life, it's not a single moment of clarity kind of thing. It's long, and it's uneven. The turning that Plato talks about, from shadow to light, it happens in fits and starts, which is emotionally costly for us as leaders. The magnitude of change, that's hard enough to go through ourselves. But when we finally crack some new insight, and then those around us, those we love, when they don't jump on board with us, confusion, uncertainty, an unresolved tension, sometimes we feel ashamed that we're not further along. Other times we feel a sense of dread that we've gone too far and maybe gone in the wrong direction. So that's already going on. And then the people we love, the people we trust, those on this journey with us, when they don't get on board, when they are quietly resistant, it's easy for us as leaders to get a little bit squirrely, discouraged for sure, but also maybe a little defensive, maybe a little grouchy, maybe accusatory. And if that's true for us, of course it's true for those in our communities. And when it happens to them, it is not uncommon that their emotional reactions get pointed at us. Of course, we're the crazy ones inviting them to this turning. And when that happens, when their focus gets pointed toward us, the most natural thing in the world for us to do is react. To read other people's emotional responses as malice or bad faith or betrayal, which they rarely are, but it's easy to read their reactions as closed-minded or resistant, which again, they rarely are. More often, their reactions are an indicator of the instability that they and everybody else is feeling. We are dismantling everything we know about everything, and that just feels unstable. So more often, these are indications of people's nervous systems protecting us, trying to maintain some kind of internal coherence, trying not to fracture even as we lose everything we once held dear. That's why in Plato's Republic, when he tells the story of the cave, he describes the prisoners chained to the back of the cave being forcefully dragged into the light, kicking and screaming all the way, resisting, angry, in pain. They do not want to go into the light. They want to remain in the comfortable life of shadow and illusion. Nobody wants to turn. Plato's word is periagoge. Nobody wants that because it's painful. So I guess the point of this episode is simply this: be nice. Leaders, when our people get all reactionary, and when those reactions, as they often do, get pointed at us, be nice. This is hard. Be nice. It's a rare thing that people will even consider leaving their shadow worlds and going through all this pain. So when they get that far, we can be gracious and kind. The problem is rarely the person. The problem is rarely their reaction. The problem is moving from blindness and seeing the light hurts. So, patience, kindness, non-reactionariness, non-anxiousness. Because here's what's not the important point: them attacking you, them challenging your leadership, them rebuffing your invitation. That's not the point. The more important point is they hurt. More than once, I've had people storm out of a lesson that I was giving. More than once, shouting some derogatory thing at me, often punctuated with the words like heretic or apostate. And when I got it right, I was understanding. When I got it right, I was patient and kind. And I got it right often enough that other folks in the community, they also started being gracious and patient and kind. Quietly, I would see it happening in the lobby afterwards. People practicing kindness and love and understanding and patience, adding beauty and goodness to truth. I used to say this all the time when I was leading in this context. Afflictive emotions are our friends. Afflictive emotions are our friends. It was a way to normalize our shared experience. This just is hard. We just are in pain. We just do have painful emotional responses. That's what happens when we are deconstructing and reimagining and doing what Plato tells us to do, periagoge-ing, turning from shadow to light. So yeah, afflictive emotions are part of it, a necessary part of it. And if we get through this part, we really do want what's on the other side, because light is better than shadow. I was at my most effective leading others out of the cave through deconstruction and reconstruction when I could see beyond afflictive emotions when I could be kind and patient and loving. I was at my best when I could remember that we are all being dragged kicking and screaming from illusions that feel so real. So, how we show up is a lot more important than anything we have to say. If we show up with grace and patience, I like the old-timey word forbearance. If we show up non-reactive with mercy and understanding and acceptance, really with love, I think that's the most important part of how we lead when we are inviting people out of the cave and leading people through deconstruction. It's hard to overestimate the importance of being nice. So you can see why in the last episode I stressed the importance of our own stillness practices, tending our own souls first. Because leaving the cave is hard enough, but being the target of the strong feelings that process evokes, that is even harder. But we can do it. It's kind of what we signed up for. All right. In the next episode, the last one in this series, some thoughts about longevity. If you'd like to be notified when that goes live, go ahead and subscribe.